Okay, so I have a couple things to warn you about as we get started. Some of you have probably already noticed. I have been told that I speak fluent trucker with a sailor accent. I will do my damnedest not to say fuck too many times. I have Tourette's. I really do, but that's not why I say fuck. It's just a convenient excuse. So, you gotta be honest with things, right? Like, I can blame it, but it's not true. So the first thing is, if you're offended by language, fuck you. But, not really. I'd like you to not be offended by language. I'd like you to question why that word bothers you so much, but the word palindrome doesn't, right? I'm serious, seriously, right? Palindrome's a fucked up word. Palindrome pisses me off. The reason it pisses me off is I love palindromes. Why the fuck is palindrome not a palindrome? Right? Shouldn't it be? For the people who don't know, a palindrome is a word or phrase that's spelled the same forwards and backwards, like mom, race car, taco cat, a man, a plan, a canal, Panama. That is. You're thinking about it, aren't you? Like, is it? It is. But the word palindrome's not a palindrome. It pisses me off. Other thing about me, I have a sense of humor. Now, I'm going to warn you. A few of you just heard I have a good sense of humor. While I appreciate you adding that word, that's not what I said. What I said was I have a sense of humor. I'll give you an example of my level of joke. I made up this joke. Do you guys know why Walmart wasn't hacked? They're not a Target. Right? I actually got to introduce the CISO of Walmart at an event, and I told that joke, and he wouldn't shake my hand. Like, I introduced him, I went like this, and the motherfucker went and walked around me. I'm like, damn it, man, you got the good side. Oh, right? So I have a sense of humor. I like to make dumb jokes. I'm also full of tangents. I will attempt to make the tangents relevant. I don't promise that. I'm full of tangents and lots of other things, and my eyes are brown. I will also forget quite often. As I talk about this, I'm going to talk about breaking into shit. You'll hear me say things like when I stole $25 million or 25 million credit card numbers or blah, 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 whatever. Please add the words with permission to the end of any of those stories, right? Because I forget those words. I am a professional hacker, and the professional means I only do it with a contract, right? It doesn't mean I always get paid. Sometimes you got to fight for that. But it does mean that I don't do it without permission from somebody authorized to give me that permission. You can't say, can you hack my bank? Well, I mean, you can say it, but you can't authorize me to break into your bank unless you own the bank. Okay, so that's what I mean by professional. A lot of people use the term ethical hacker. I don't like that term because all hackers have ethics. Their ethics may not match yours, right? You know I'm right, right? So we got to think about the words we use. This is actually part of what I'm going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about how to be Kermit in a Gonzo world. I have been told I resemble Kermit. I have a round, oval-shaped body and long, gangly limbs. I took it as a compliment. I think Kermit's kind of cool, right? So we're going to talk about some stuff today. I don't like monologues. If you have a question, ask it. Don't do the bullshit, I got to raise my hand, wait to be called on. Like, don't do that. We're not in third grade. You got a question, just ask the damn question, okay? So you probably should turn this on to get it to work. Buttons, they suck, right? So I'm Kevin. I'm the founder of Secure Ideas. We are a consulting firm out of Jacksonville, Florida. I like to say that because we're actually around the country. Our world headquarters is in Jacksonville. It is a world headquarters because we have one staff member who lives in Canada, so we're an international consulting firm, right? It's kind of like the Jacksonville airport is an international airport because it's got like one flight to the Bahamas. You want to piss people off in Jacksonville? Tell that joke on stage. Had a guy in the audience like argue with me. He's like, we are too an international airport. I'm like, cool, fucker. Answer this question without the word Atlanta, and I'll believe you. Where's customs? Right? Like, it's in Atlanta. But it's like, I don't know. So we're a pen testing company. We break into shit, tell you your baby is ugly, and go home. That is our job. And the reality is all babies are ugly. We lie to new parents. They don't have kneecaps. Their skulls aren't fused together. They're squishy humans. It takes like 2-3 months for that kid to be like, oh, it's adorable. But you don't tell new parents that because then they won't reproduce the species. I also have kids and they know I feel this way. Right? But the reality is when I go in and break into stuff, when my company goes in and breaks into stuff, we are literally coming in and telling you your baby is ugly. Because very rarely are we testing something that nobody cares about. Right? Somebody built it, somebody designed it, somebody architected it, somebody manages it, somebody controls it. And I get asked all the time, do you ever fail to get in? And the answer is, yeah. If you don't have a good enough scope, we could fail. If you limit us to the point, like we've literally had people say, that IP address is the only thing you can test. It's not really a pen test, right? You're an idiot. I'm sorry, just plain and simple. But we get in all the time. Why do we get in all the time? I'd like to tell you it's because we're fucking wizards. We have skills. The reality is we get in because we figure out the ways you made a mistake. We figure out a way that your business does something that I can abuse, right? It's that simple. You can't make your systems secure. I don't give a shit what the sales guy from Threat Locker keeps saying at the booth next to me. Ring fencing. You made that fucking word up, didn't you? Right? And I'm sure the Threat Locker guy is really good and awesome, but I've heard his pitch 15,000 times already. And I'm amazed he hasn't said AI. Bitcoin, crypto. Venture capital money falls out of the sky. You don't have to actually produce something. You just say, zero trust AI. And the VC people pop out, right? So, what are we going to talk about? I don't even fucking know. It's the way it is, right? I submit a talk. They come back. They go, Kevin, you want to speak? I'm like, sure. I'm actually petrified of public speaking. I really am. I didn't throw up this morning, so that's good. We're going to talk about purple teaming. This is a really hot button topic for people. People love purple teaming because we love colors. We're nerds. We have two things we like, colors and acronyms. We do, right? Like, yeah, you get into conversations with a nerd, all the acronyms come out. And we overload them. Like, can you tell me what TCP is?
Transport Control Protocol.
Ah, nice. You'd be wrong. I actually did a pen test, and this was for a previous company I worked for in Guardians, and my boss scoped the job, and they kept talking about TCP, and so he assumed it was a network test. And it was an app that they had deployed, that they had built, and they named TCP. Are you on drugs? Like, what is that? People say to me, I love it when people come up to the booth and they ask questions, because I man the booth a lot. I don't know why. I hate people. Hate crowds, right? But I'm at the booth all the time. People walk up to me and they'll say things. We had a guy say it earlier today. He walks up and he's like, do you know what? And he rattles off an acronym is. And Brittany, who was at the booth with me, she says to him, maybe. Like, could we get a little more context than 3 random fucking letters, right? Like, we have so many acronyms, we've come up with TLAs, which is an acronym that stands for 3-letter acronyms. But purple teaming has grown a lot, right? We're going to talk about it, and I'm going to tell you why I think most of us are doing it wrong. And most of the people who are hiring pen testers are doing it wrong, right? We as an industry have built out this idea that pen testing is the be-all, end-all. I literally have people say to me when we're scoping a job, they'll say, okay, when you're done pen testing us, will we be more secure? And the answer to that question is, fuck no. When I'm done pen testing you, you will have no more security than when I started pen testing you, but I hope that you have a better idea of where you should focus your resources. Then you might make yourself more secure, but I can't pen test you to security. I can't. Sorry. I don't fix shit. I tried fixing shit. They break. If you fix computers, like that's the best thing with family. I know you all have this problem, right? Your family, it's like holiday dinner. And, hey, my phone's not working. Stop surfing porn on it. But I don't want to need to know that about my grandfather. I just tell him I break computers. You give it to me, I'll enjoy it, and I'll give it back. But pen testing, right, has become bigger and bigger and bigger. And don't get me wrong, I think penetration testing is very important. I think if you're not doing real penetration testing, right, because we're not Horizon 3, we're not Nessus, we're running an actual pen test. And look, you can hire Secure Ideas, whoever the fuck you hire. If you want to know who, we've got a web page that lists the 7 companies we recommend that aren't us, that do real pen testing. But the reality is if all you're doing with pen testing is letting me hack in, tell you suck, and go home, then you've wasted your money. Now, if you're going to waste your money, send it to me, but I don't want you to waste your money. I want you to get something good of it. So a number of years ago, the idea of purple teaming came out. And purple teaming is something many of us had already been doing. We just didn't have a name for it. As a matter of fact, I did a talk at UF called Blue Team Testing, which was the idea of purple teaming, right? And that is not me saying I invented it. I want to be very clear, right? I just gave a talk about it. And the idea was, this is pen testing, but focused on collaborating. This is pen testing, but understanding what you're doing on the blue side as I do my pen test. Because the reality is, I can do really cool shit. I can. I have the world's best job. I get to come in, find all of the problems, and have zero responsibility to fix it, right? I come from an IT background. I got my first job out of high school writing software to control the power grid, which should scare the shit out of you because that code I wrote in 1991 is still running in parts of the power grid today. And I'm not that good of a developer today at 52. I damn straight wasn't that good at 18. I got the job because I knew Pascal. The code wasn't written in Pascal. It was written in C and assembly. The guy that hired me said, they're similar. He gave me a Borland C compiler and a book. Code still runs. That's all I can say, right? But we come in and we break stuff, and then what do we do with it? And if I come in and I break stuff, does that mean you failed? No. This is not a pass-fail thing. I talked to somebody this morning. A young man came up to the booth, and he said the thing that I hear from so many people. Oh, man, I want to be a hacker. I'll be honest. If your phrase is, I want to be a hacker, you're not going to be. Because being a hacker is a mindset. Now, what he meant was he wants to be a pen tester, right? And anybody can be a pen tester. It's not that hard. I'd like to tell you it's hard, but it's really not, right? But I talked to him about it. I'm like, why? And he said, oh. And I want to be clear. I'm not making fun of this kid. So if he's in the room, I'm blind. I can't see. So if he's in the room, I'm not making fun of him. His mindset is a valid mindset. And he said, yeah, I love the competitiveness, the ability to test something and beat the other side. And I said to him, I say this to a lot of people. I'm like, hey, how blunt do you want my response to be? Because if you're not in the mood for a blunt response, I'll go, oh, that sounds awesome. You're adorable. And move on. And neither of us give a fuck. But if you want real feedback, tell me you want me to be blunt. And he said, I want you to be blunt. He then regretted that, I think. And I said, you don't want to be a pen tester. He's like, no, I do. I'm like, yeah, you think that. You understand that like 2/3 of our fucking job, if not more than that, is writing a fucking report? Like, you know I'm right. Right? Like, oh man, but don't you use templates? Fuck, kinda. Like, yeah, we've got some stuff. How to describe SQL injection. I'm only gonna write that shit one time. But how do I describe your SQL injection? That I gotta write custom, right? And I know some of you in the room are like, Kevin, it's 2025. There's no SQL injection. And I'm gonna say, you're a fucking moron. Of course there's SQL injection. There's probably SQL injection in that projector. Okay, maybe not the projector, right? But it still exists, absolutely. And here's the problem with that. Do you understand that we discovered SQL injection more than 20 years ago? And when we discovered SQL injection, we discovered the solution, and it is the only security control that actually makes the application perform faster. And yet we don't roll it out. Pen testing is not a competition. Pen testing needs to be a collaboration. That's what purple teaming is. And bluntly, all pen testing should be purple teaming. There are very few instances where you coming to me and saying, I want you to do an unannounced test so I can test my people is a good idea. Very few. There are some. There are some reasons to do that, but there are very few. I tell people all the time, if you don't trust your SOC to notify you correctly, get a new SOC. Because the idea is you don't trust them. Well, I want you to test them. Okay, but that's a waste of fucking money because you don't trust them. And if they detect me, does that mean they did a good job? Because I'll tell you a story. I was doing this pen test. It was a purple team exercise. And I had the security team. I was in the office, in this cubicle, okay? So imagine a room 75% bigger than this room, okay? And I'm in this corner in a completely fucking glass like conference room. And it's day one of the test. And they hand me a laptop because we're gonna use one of their laptops to live off the land as part of the testing. I say, thank you. And I open it up and I set it down. That's it. I bloop and I set it down. Okay? And we're sitting there talking, blah, 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 blah. And diagonally across the room, all the way across the room, I can see the SOC, which is like these two surfer dudes and a bunch of monitors. Okay? And I see the one guy, he does that, and I'm dead serious. He's like, and he jumps up. Now, imagine we're in this corner, and coming this way are 3 rows of desks, people on both sides, okay? So 6 groups of people all the way across. And this guy jumps up and starts to climb over shit to go, and literally over the fucking monitors, over the desks. He comes diagonally across. He walks up to the door. He slams open the fucking door, and he goes, I got you! And I'm in the room. You may not know this, but I'm slightly sarcastic. And I look at him, and I said something like, yep, you found me in the glass room. Who are you? I got you. I detected you. I saw you hacking my shit. I got you. I win. Dude, I don't know what the fuck's coming out of your face. He's like, I saw you. You're attacking my semantic server. And I'm like, no, I'm not. He's like, yes, you are. Like, no, I'm not. I'm literally having a conversation right here. That machine right there hacked me. I said, sir, I don't believe you're detecting something correctly. But let's say you are. If you're really seeing a hack from that machine against your semantic server, your build has been compromised. Because that machine has been built on your build process, and all I did was open it. Well, it hacked us. We dug into it with him, right? What had happened was the machine booted up, and Symantec reached out to its control server to get its config and its signatures. This guy had known we were coming. He had decided to tilt the deck a little bit, and he had gotten the build people to give him the laptop ID, and he set up a monitor for any traffic from that workstation. And he felt that was a good way to test. I will tell you, this is one of 3 times in my career that I have literally recommended fire that dude. Okay? Normally we don't. Normally it's like, yeah, man, I tricked this guy. He fucking gave me everything, but it's not his fault. I'm going to use you as an example, okay? You sat in the front row. And, right? But it's not his fault. It's the system. It's the process. It's this. Fix that. This guy said, fire that guy. Because he didn't understand the problem. Because the idea is we want to test detection as well, and setting a monitor for my workstation ID is not really testing my stuff, right? That's the problem. We see these collaborative exercises. Let's be blunt, and this is something we don't do as often anymore, but in person is better than remote. At Secure Ideas, what we do, we'll either fly butts in seats to your offices, but what is more common nowadays is we fly your team to us. We have an office in Jacksonville. We have a conference room that we can sit in. The reason we do that is most of our customers nowadays, their security teams are remote. They're not going into an office. And even if they do, by having them come to our office, they can work with us in person, and they're not getting the drive-by ticketing that happens, right? How often are you sitting at your desk, somebody says, hey, can you help me with, right? I'm busy, I need this. If you're at my office, you're separated from that, okay? And we sit with you, and we start testing stuff, and we work with you to evaluate it. We start low and slow. Hey, what did you see? What did you see? What did you see? What did you see? Okay, you caught me. Is that the right point to catch me? Is that the right threshold to catch me, right? Do you want to tune that a little bit? Why did you catch me? Oh, you caught me because of the user agent that script used. Okay, what happens if I change the user agent? Did you test it, right? And so by doing that collaborative approach, which I want to be very clear, if you're doing a purple team exercise and what I just described is not happening, you're not doing a purple team exercise. What you're doing is a pen test they added more money on, okay? And you're getting ripped off, plain and simple. And I'm not going to name any companies, Optiv, but what I'm just going to say is that you need to work better with their company. I'm only making fun of Optiv because it's a name everybody knows. That's all, right? Rapid7 is really who I should have made fun of. But, so, the reality is we've got to do this type of testing, right? So as we move around and do this, right, how do we determine the success of this thing? Because all joking aside, and honestly, those are all jokes, right? But as we look at it, how do we determine whether we detected correctly? Because like I said, this isn't a competition. This is not a, hey, I got you, ha, ha, ha. This is a, did we tune things correctly, right? Where did they detect it? What did they detect? Because I'll tell you right now, a lot of SOCs, they don't look at applications at all, right? They can't in the way they're set up. I was working with one bank, and we were testing their stuff. And the bank is like, our biggest worry is, can our SOC detect the attacks? We started slow, they didn't detect anything. We got louder, they didn't detect anything. We got louder, they didn't detect anything. We threw shit at the wall, and they did not detect it. We walked in going, we're hackers! Ah! And they didn't detect anything. So finally, they let us talk to the SOC. It was a third party, right? And that's one of the problems. A lot of times they won't let us talk to the third party. I hate that, but I understand it. But so we get with the third party, and they're like, no, we're monitoring. We look at it. What it turns out is this bank had had a primary connection to the internet. And the SOC had put a tap there. Not really a tap, but let's go with tap, right? Because I'm old. And they were monitoring it. And about 3 years before our test, 3 years before our test, they had brought a faster connection in, and they had converted the old connection to the backup DR connection. If something happened to the big one, the slow one. So there was a little bit of traffic just as a keep alive going across that. In 3 years, the SOC did not notice that they had gone from megabytes an hour in data travel, whatever the number is, right, to bytes a day. I would argue that that's not good doesn't cover it. I would go with negligence, but I'm not a lawyer. except on Twitter where I pretend to be one. And I'm sorry?
Second time you said fire that guy?
Nope, that was a company we said fire. But, right? But this is the problem, right? Were they detecting at the right place? Were they looking at the right place? If you've moved all of your systems to the cloud, but you're running agents on servers in your data center, then you're not doing a good job. And that's okay. We can fix that, right? But that's what we're doing. But it's not just important to know what they detected, it's important to know what they didn't detect. And should they have detected it, right? Should they have? I don't know, depends on the attack, depends on the business. Because this is where we start seeing the mistakes. And I see these all the time, and I want to be very clear. I'm going to say, here are the mistakes, and I'm not going to tell you I've never made any of these. I mean, I will tell you that, but that would be a lie, right? We start seeing people, oh, okay, here's the provided scope. And they don't look outside of that. And I want to be clear, I'm not saying attack shit the customer didn't tell you it was okay to attack. I'm saying when the customer gives you a scope, in any pen test, but especially in a purple team exercise, one of the first things you should do is reconnaissance to see what other things might be in scope or should be in scope. Then go back to the client and say, hey, Eric, you gave me these ranges. I found this other stuff over here that looks like it's yours. Should that be tested? And then evaluate their answer. If they say no, ask them why not. I don't mean to argue with them, but do you know how many times I've had customers say to me when I say, why not? And they go, well, that's really insecure and I don't want it in the report. That's adorable. Right? That more than likely they've forgotten assets, right? Being loud too early. How many people here, God, I'm a pen tester, I run Nessus. Right? You accidentally run mass scan wide ass open. That's a technical term, wide ass open. It's actually a flag to mass scan. Okay, it's not. But, right? The other big one I see a lot of times is people fail to communicate, right? They think they are. My favorite is, here's what we're going to do. We're going to have a meeting every day for the next 3 weeks at 9 a.m. with everybody involved. And then at 4:30, we'll have another one. And we do have some people in England, so can we get together at 7 p.m.? And you think, okay, I'm talking to these fucking people 3 times a day, every day, I must be communicating enough. No, you're just talking a lot. How many of those meetings do y'all get on the meeting and you go, got anything to report? Nope, we're still testing. Okay, cool, thanks. That's not communication. And oh, by the way, when you get to that 4:30 meeting, do you remember what you did at 11? Specifically? Do you remember what was happening on the other end? Do they know exactly what was happening at 11? Right? The other one we see a lot of times, not engaging with the right teams, right? Well, I'm talking to security. Do you know what security knows? Security. Do you know how many times I say to security people, hey, I found this thing. This seems bad. Oh, you're right, that does. Do you need that? Fuck, I don't know. Maybe. It's running on the server, right? Turn it off, see who complains. So how do we fix this? In my mind, the way to fix this is to shift our focus. And this is actually something I've been ranting around and about for a long time. And I'd like people to start fucking listening. Do you know how many times I talk to pen testers and security people and IT people, and I hear shit bitching about the business and the users? How many people here have heard users are stupid? Yeah. You know you're users, right? Seriously. Do you know how many times I break into companies because the InfoSec fucks something up? How many people here are professional InfoSec at a company? Like not like a consulting firm, but like a, You work at a bank or, right? So you're a professional InfoSec. Keep your hands up. Keep your hands up. Come on. Okay. Now, how many of you I saw you put your hand down. You thought you could be subtle. Okay, now how many of you do part of your job, or all of your job, with administrative rights? Liar. Well, I believe you this time. You can put your hands down now. Do you know who I attack first? The people with administrative rights. Do you know the number of times that I have plugged one of my devices into your network and the first thing you do is attempt to connect to it with enterprise admin credentials to verify that I'm locked down correctly? I just proxy those to the closest server I can. I'm now an enterprise admin. Thank you. Do you know how many times we walk into organizations and we're talking to InfoSec and we're like, hey, this is how this works. And then we get in and we get their SharePoint share. And there's this cool passwords.x. It's not a text file though, so it's okay because that's always the example. My favorite is passwords.pdf because that means you don't change them often enough to need to edit the file. You think I'm kidding? It blows my mind how many times people say to me, oh, you found those credentials, but we haven't used those credentials in years.
How often have people made honeypots to have you fall for those, to use the credits and find you? Have you found that on your
How many times do somebody use fake creds as a honeypot? Those would be more of a honey token as the actual term, just so you know, right? How many times? All the time. But here's the thing. If you're having me test your system and you don't tell me about your honeypots and your honey tokens, you're wasting your money. Seriously. Because you know that detection works, right? So why have me fall into it? If I spend, okay, you have a really good honeypot, or I'm just having a really stupid fucking day. And I get stuck, because either works, right? And I get stuck in your honeypot, and I spend an hour thinking that I'm a domain admin on your honeypot. And I'm like doing the root dance, right? You know what I mean? What did that benefit you? Seriously, what did it benefit you, right? Nothing. You tricked the pen tester. Do you feel better? If you feel better, cool, go talk to a therapist. They'll help you feel better all the time. Right? They might even have meds. You might need them. I'm not saying you don't. I'm not making fun of needing meds. I'm just saying if you're doing that so you feel better, you're doing it for the wrong reason. The goal here is not to win. The goal here is to understand if your controls work well. Having fake credentials that I stumble across works well. Thinks canaries are awesome. I recommend them highly. But don't use them to fake your pen tester out, because every bit of time I spend using the fake shit is time I'm not finding the real problems you're not aware of. So yes, they do happen, right? But it's a waste of time. And that means it's a waste of money, because while I'm not that expensive, I do cost money. There is an invoice attached to my report. Use that resource well, unless you have unlimited budget. And if you have unlimited budget, call me. I'm looking for that company with unlimited resources, right? But we see this all the time, is that the security team doesn't understand how the business works. How many people here, I just had this discussion on LinkedIn yesterday. A friend of mine who's really smart reposted some other person's post. I don't know the other person, but the other person is recognized in the industry as an expert at stuff, right? And the person was saying that we should change passwords 2 or 3 times a month, I think is what he said. It might have been 1 or 2 times a month. I might be exaggerating. I don't remember. It was either 1 or 2 times a month or 2 to 3 times a month. He also was saying that we should ensure that nobody clicks anything. Fuck you. Let me ask you a question. How many people here take annual security awareness training? Right. How many people here take annual security awareness training that tells you not to click shit? Probably says it politer than that. How many of you got to that annual security awareness training by an email that had a link on it that you clicked to get to the training? I'm going to save you some money on know before. I'm only picking on Eric here. Here's how you do security awareness training. Build a web server. Put a web page on it. Send a link to that web page to everybody in the company. When they click it and it opens, the web page should just simply have the words on it, "You shouldn't have done that!" That meets most awareness training requirements. Not really. Right? But like we do this all the time, like, oh God, they click shit. Yeah, you built systems that require them to click shit. Your entire organization is wrapped around clicking. And users are supposed to recognize the clicking they're not supposed to clicking. I know that's not grammatically correct, but that's how I like to say it. Right? The reality is people will click stuff no matter what you do. So what you have to do is build the other shit. I'll pick a no before because of Eric being in the room, but they've got some good stuff out there. They don't tell you don't fucking do it. They tell you pay attention to why you're doing it. Think about what you're doing. And that's what I tell security people. Do you know how many of us are socially engineered all the time? I got socially engineered last year, year before. I was elected to the OS board. I got the notification that I was elected. I was also told, please don't tell anybody until tomorrow at 5 p.m. when we make the public announcement, right? The next morning, I get up and I have a signal message from Alyssa Miller. If you don't know Alyssa, your life isn't as good as it could be. Alyssa is awesome. Alyssa sent me a signal message, and all it said was, congratulations. And I wrote back and said, wow, thank you. Who told you? And she wrote back, you just did. Nobody would tell her who won, so she texted me. I got social engineered by Alyssa Miller, right? And I'd like to believe I'm smarter than that. I'm fucking not. We fall for shit all the time, right? We need to make it better. Reconnaissance is critical. Understand what you're targeting. Understand why you're targeting it. The biggest thing is we want to be Kermit, but we really want to win over Miss Piggy, right? You guys have all watched The Muppet Show. You haven't? Get the fuck out. Damn, don't admit that. I haven't watched The Muppet Show. Your life sucks. Having 5 virtual machines doesn't mean you can't watch The Muppet Show. The reality, exactly, it's one of them, run The Muppet Show. The reality is we have to win over the business. Hacking for hacking's sake is fun and a blast and helps nobody. Our job is to help the business. I was working with this movie studio, and we were doing awareness training. And I don't mean like awareness training, like here's a video. We were actually flying on site and meeting with teams of people to discuss their business, what they did, why they did it, what the risk was, and talking to them about how to be better at being more secure. And I'm in this room, and it's like an auditorium, and they're there. And the question I was asking is, what keeps you up at night? What's the data you're most worried about in your job? Not the studio at whole, your role. What is the data? And people, credit card numbers, social security numbers, blah, all that bullshit. There's one lady in the room. Now, keep in mind, it's a room of like 100 people, and they all do the same job. They're all on the same team. This one woman says, celebrity cell phone numbers. And before I could say anything, the room erupts. A lot of people had to look at this on your face. Cell phone numbers of celebrities? What are you talking about? That's ridiculous. That's stupid. That's not what it could possibly be. That can't possibly be the biggest thing. Do we have a fire? Nope. Okay, no problem. So as long as we don't have to evacuate, I'm cool. right? So she's like, celebrity cell phone number. And everybody's like, no, that's wrong, blah, 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 blah. And I stop them all. And I'm like, no, wait a minute. And I want to be clear. I'm not saying she's right. I'm repeating, okay? And I said to her, ma'am, why? Why celebrity cell phone numbers? Like, why do you think that's the biggest thing? She goes, oh, it's really simple. In our job, we deal with the contracts with the stars, the cast. And one of the things we need is we need direct contact information to the celebrity. Because like, if something happens, they're not on site, or, we need to call them, not their agent, not their admin, not their this, whatever. We need to call them. And so we have to have their cell phone. But a lot of celebrities, they're stalking, there's fucking weird people, right? Like this is a problem. And so they don't want to give us their number because of that risk. We need the number, so not having it is a risk. So we have in our contract a penalty of 7 figures if we lose the cell phone number. Automatically. We don't argue it, we don't fight it, we just write a check. You know what? I can't vet anything that woman said, but if everything that woman said is right, in her job, that is the biggest security concern. Because there's a penalty with cash assigned to it automatically. And let's be blunt, 100 people in the room, all doing the same fucking job, and she's the only one that understood the ramifications of that clause in the contract, right? That's understanding the business. That's understanding what keeps people up at night. That is understanding how to look at real threats, real attacks, real things, and associate it to the thing people are worried about. That's the idea of threat-led pen testing. And I want to be very clear, that's now a marketing term, now that DORA made it a requirement, an executive order made it a requirement. But the reality is, if you're just doing a pen test and hacking random shit, that's not threat-led. You have to work with the organization, work with your contacts, work with your people to understand why they have the goals they have, why they have the controls they have, and then determine the best path forward to understand risk and understand where their problems are. And we as humans, I'm going to wrap up with this, we as humans suck at risk assessment. I know there are many of us who go, yeah, no, I do. I love risk. I know risk. I was out in Denver. I was keynoting an event out in Denver. And I asked the people in the audience, how many people here are afraid of sharks? And the majority of the people raised their hand. And I said, no, I want to be very clear. I don't mean, oh, sharks. I mean, oh my God, I could be bitten by a shark right now. And like half of the people in the room kept their hand up. And I pointed out that Denver was a mile above sea level. And as far as I knew, the only way they could be bitten by a shark is if somebody was transporting a shark from one aquarium to another and you rammed the truck. I was educated later. The Denver Aquarium lets you pay some money to swim with sharks. So you actually can pay to raise your risk level. But for the majority of people, shark attacks in Denver aren't a massive issue. Do you know what you should be more afraid of in Denver? Soda machines. Soda machines kill more people, injure more people than sharks. And I don't mean through diabetes. They shake the machine, it falls on and crushes them. Seriously. Do you know how sad? I mean, it's sad anytime somebody dies, but to be died. That's the new, wow. To be died by pulling a soda machine on top of yourself. Glutton. I don't know what to say to that. We have to understand risk. We have to understand what we're doing. We have to understand how we're doing it and why we're doing it. We're not here to win. We're here to move the needle. We're here to make things more secure, better off. If I come in and I test your organization and I leave, and you're not better at understanding where you need to focus your time, I fucked up. It's that simple. I fucked up. And I try my damnedest not to fuck up. You should too. Thank you very much, everybody. Enjoy yourself.